Okay, students, it is time for part 2 of 3. This is Daoism. We just finished Confucianism, so please continue your notes. You can just make another section for Daoism. Yes, I am saying Daoism. Sometimes you see this spelled with a D, and sometimes with a T. It is the same philosophy, it's just a different spelling. Because Chinese is a language so different from English, when we translate it, sometimes the spelling is different, and the letters that we use to represent a sound in Chinese are different. So don't get confused. It is Daoism, and even if you see it with a T, you'll still see it, you'll still pronounce it as though it's a D, Daoism. Alright, this is started by Lao Ji. Sometimes you see this written as one word and sometimes as two. Again, that's just something that is different between translations. So Lao Ji, born a little bit even before Confucius, so he's a contemporary of Confucius. He's around when Confucius is teaching. And his name means old master. We're not sure. It's possible that he was even Confucius's teacher, but there's not clear evidence. The Tao Te Ching is the famous book that is the text of Daoism. In Chinese, it means the classic in the way and its power. Remember, I called these 3 philosophies the way. Sometimes they're considered the 3 ways of Chinese thinking. So that's what we mean when we say the way. It just means the lifestyle. Now this is not to write down, this part here. This is just something to think about. This comes from a critic of Lao Ji, and it's kind of funny. It turns Confucius and Taoist thought on its head, you'll see. Those who speak know nothing. Those who know are silent. These words, I am told, were spoken by Lao Ji. If we are to believe that Lao Ji was himself one who knew, how is it that he wrote a book of 5,000 words? So it's kind of a riddle, kind of a paradox. And that was from Po Chui. I don't know how to say that. I'm not good at Chinese speaking, but we'll try. Alright, so the major Taoist principles, these are important to think about. The Tao, again, you'll see it written, Tao, is the first cause of the universe. It's the force that flows through all life. So think about, it's kind of an ethereal, it's something that's hard to put words on, but it's the Tao. It's this energy, this force that all living things experience. And in order to illustrate that, I'd like to tell you the butterfly story. So there's a story told in Daoism that one night a man was sleeping and he was dreaming that he was a beautiful butterfly flying over hills and valleys, enjoying life and at peace with his life. And then he woke and he realized he was a man. But maybe he was a man in a dream that the butterfly was having. Which is reality? And a Taoist would say, it doesn't really matter which is reality. Your goal is to become one with the Tao, one with nature. Be the butterfly. Be yourself. It doesn't matter who you are and what your reality is. Simply live your life. Wu Wei. And this idea means let nature take its course. It's the art of doing nothing, or we might say, go with the flow. So just relax, life is going to happen. Maybe you've said some of these things that are kind of Taoist in their belief. It's just the way it goes, don't worry about it. And finally, man is unhappy because he lives according to man-made laws, customs, traditions, and they're contrary to the ways of nature. Does this remind you of Buddhism at all? Because man has put these restrictions on their life, that's why man's unhappy. That would be what Lao Ji would say to you. So Lao Ji would say, You're only unhappy because you're not living alongside with nature. You're not living the way nature would have you. The Tao, if we think about the Tao, that force within life, we're going to think about escaping social, political, cultural traps. So don't fall into these things. This is just the way society does it. Don't fall into believing that. Don't believe that politics are the answer, or that your cultural traditions are the answer. You need to escape that. Rise above it. 1, you can reject formal knowledge and learning. I'm sure at this point you guys are loving Daoism. You can walk away from the idea that you must have a formal education. And think about our society. What do we think about formal education? Do we value it? Do we not? Think about that. A second way is that you can rely on your senses and your instincts, so you can trust yourself. Maybe you have said before to somebody, hey, what does your gut tell you? What's your gut instinct? Laoji would be proud of you. No, and thirdly, you can discover nature and the rhythm of the universe. So learn how nature works. Think about the world around you, the natural world. And finally, ignore political and social laws. Do you? What is true in your life? I wonder how you would answer this. Do you ignore social laws, or do you follow what society tells you to do? Maybe you don't even realize how much you do it. A lot of us do. Americans are big into social laws. And they also in Daoism talk about the universe of opposites and finding the balance. Have you seen this picture before? Probably. This is a yin-yang symbol. Yin is the dark side with the light circle, the white circle. And it stands for feminine, passive. Passive means you kind of let things go by. You don't get worked up about things. You don't push your opinions and your ideas. There's darkness here. It's cold. It's weak. Earth and moon are the symbols here. What do you think this tells us about Daoism and sexism? I wonder what conclusions you can draw, especially now as we flip and look at the yang. It's masculine, active, light, warmth, strong, heaven, sun. That's the yang. Interesting to look at this, but these, Laoji would say, these are natural divisions of life. We need to find the balance between them. So the idea is that you are balanced. Notice how each side fits into the other. It's not separate of each other necessarily. Alright, moving on to legalism. I will meet you in video 3.